just take a look at this, take what you will from it. When I dissociate, it feels like the life I'm living are like memories. They have, everything's kind of like muted and muffled, and it doesn't really feel like it's my reality. Tattooing definitely brings me back to earth. It's like it brings me back to the present instead of feeling like I'm just living lives that have already happened. And I suppose that's where like the desire for control comes in, because I feel like every day I'm not in control. Like those moments where I am tattooing or creating help me feel like I'm alive. It's just hard. I think throughout my life I've just felt really powerless a lot for a lot of different reasons. And when I got into like hand poke, it was just a lot of freedom, and I had a lot of control over what I was doing and the clients I was seeing and the designs I was doing. And so I think when I felt that control, like I started seeing myself more as an artist. Have you had a stick and poke before?
No, this is my first one.
Oh, how exciting. If it's inevitable that you're gonna suffer in your life, like you can to some degree choose how you suffer. Suffer well, suffer the way you want to suffer. Like my parents moved to America, like, you know, for the American dream. And like coming from Korea and then to a country where like they don't speak the language, they left their family, and like so many sacrifices were made, so like it's almost like a burden on us to make it worth it. A smell that's nostalgic for me from childhood is sesame seed oil. Like in Korean cooking, it's really common to just use sesame oil as like the final garnish or like the finishing touch. And like we didn't grow up with a lot of money, so like one of our, like my mom's go-to dishes for us was like rice with a runny egg and then like a splash of soy sauce and sesame seed oil. I don't know where like the sense of powerlessness comes from, or like the desire for control. All I know is that like what I'm doing now, and like I feel like I'm like making my own mark, and quite literally on people.
Yeah.
And they'll last forever, and I feel like that is, it like feeds me. Stick and poke is absolutely meditative. I think there's always like the hustle and bustle of the pre-session where a lot of decisions come into play, both on my part and like a client's part. But when I'm like working with the skin and just really focused and honed in on what's going on in front of me, like at that moment, that is meditative. I feel a combination of relief and dissociation afterwards, because on one hand I made this piece, like this tattoo, this design, and I can see it in front of me, and I'm like working with my hands on it. It's like really tangible. But when my client walks out the door, it's gone. Large scale like paintings that I'm working towards like are kind of about my mom, like heartbreak that comes from like watching my mom trying to like conform to American society and like be American.
Yeah.
Like speak English, like her broken English, and trying to minimize that Korean identity is really hard to watch. But like I'm trying to make this whole exhibit or installation where the point is to kind of to take up space, and so it's going to be like Korean words and letters. Just right there. Like, watch me. Like this. Like,
here.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be minimized at all. You're gonna die. You have to make decisions like based on like what will make you happy. Like, make decisions out of love, not fear. Like, in the broad like scope of time, like nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
You know, to me, like tattoos aren't permanent in a way, and I'm not sure if like the hand poke method plays into that, or I just have a really unusual concept of time. Even if they're like silly tattoos, they capture that moment in your life where you chose to go for it. Like, it captures like the emotions and feelings of that time in your life, so I feel like no tattoo is ever really a mistake. I think a lot about like, what do we owe our past selves? Because you had like this childhood dream, like, do you have to be in pursuit of that forever? Or when do you kind of shed those, if ever? And like, what do you owe yourself in this moment in time? Like, holding those memories in each tattoo is kind of a tribute to that past self. Like, is it one collective self, you know? Is it like you as a child carrying out your dreams as you get older? Or are you like forming new identities every day? And either way, get a tattoo.
Give me the money.
Yeah.